everybody. This is Kev from Kevin's Corner, where I try to make sense out of nonsense. That's right, and I hope you're having a great morning. It's 11:24 my time. I don't know what time it is wherever you are, but that's what time it is right now in Kevin's Corner. 11:24. So, whoa, look at that. I got an immediate, whatever you call these notifications. So, look at that. Whoa, look at that. I'm shocked. I'm flabbergasted. I'm bewildered by it. So, good morning to everybody. Yeah, so wherever you're checking in from, look at this. Oh, yeah, I see people checking in. Gorilla Nation, that's right. Oh, yeah, hello all. Good morning. Hey, Kev. Long Island, New York. We got people checking in. Okay. Hello from Florida. Now that's what I'm talking about. I'm starting to feel my help coming in. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, because I'm going to need it. All this nonsense that's going on around this country these here days that I need to talk about and discuss. That's right. So, welcome to the show. Checking in from Wisconsin. Yeah, there we go. Now, I don't want to tarry. I don't know what you got going on right now in the middle of a Friday. You might be at work. You might be at a lunch date. Who knows? But whatever you're doing, take a second to chill in my corner with me. That's all I'm asking. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get busy. What? Real gorilla. Real gorilla. Real gorilla. There's some kings in the building. Gorillas in here. Gorillas in here. Gorillas in here. Gorillas in here. Yeah, buddy. And it's a Kevin's Corner store in here too. Don't forget. Sam. Check out that store. Get yourself some merchandise and all that good stuff. So now, you saw that little weasel right there. Real quick. We're going to be talking about him in a second. But first, I want to just say you can text MAGA to 330-974-4607 just to stay connected with me. You can support my channel by checking out my corner store, hitting like, sharing my videos, participating in the super chat, or just supporting my channel through my Cash App and my PayPal link. All of those links are below each video. Also, don't forget to subscribe to my alternative channel where you will find yourself a smorgasbord of Kevin's Corner, old clips and new ones, nice and condensed and shortened, and some of them long. Some of y'all like watching the full-blown long, show, which is good. I like that. I like to see that people, are engaged. And it's a testament of, our symbiotic relationship. I'm able to talk for a long time and y'all will listen for a long time. Yeah, we need each other. We need each other. So with that being said, we do have to talk about something. I was going to make a uploaded video, but I said, let me do it live because the video is going to still be the same. Talking about the situation, whether I do it and upload it or do it live with you guys, is going to be the same, which I did mention yesterday during my live stream that I wanted to address this Catholic shooting. Now, I know that YouTube might be listening and, sensitive and stuff like that. But I'm going to be saying some things that might get under some people's skin, but. And with that being said, it might be demonetized. The video. So if you do want to support the channel, you probably don't want to give it in a super chat because they might take it. You might want to do that through my Cash App or my PayPal link, just in case they get all hypersensitive over the topic that we're going to be talking about. But considering all of the videos I've seen in the last couple of days covering this, I'm like, wow. Surely I can't say anything more direct than some of the stuff we've seen, out there thus far. Now, with that being said, let's start off because we already knew when I saw this pop up on the timeline, a shooting takes place in Minnesota. I'm like, oh boy, here we go. Without knowing who was responsible and all that stuff, the first thought I had was this is going to now be an opportunity for the you-know-who's to come straight out like, we want those guns. Gotta get those guns. But then after finding out who was responsible for the shooting, it really hit me like, oh yeah, they definitely are going to be pivoting towards guns. They don't want to touch this hot potato when it comes down to who is responsible for that. And we're going to explore that. We want to get down to some, deep psychology concerning this. So we're going to start off though with the Fry guy out there in Minnesota. He came out and he's pretending to be all busted up on the inside. And this is his great opportunity to show some leadership, sympathy, and all of that stuff as he is in a, embroiled battle out there in Minnesota for the mayor for the mayor. So this is his great opportunity to put on a great acting performance like he did when George Floyd got killed. But see, he can't top that one. He can't top that one. When George Floyd got killed, that dude went in there, fell on his knees at a casket of a human that he didn't even know. And he's up in that one. Burn me up. People fell for that? Are you kidding me? I mean, I barely cried at family members who passed away, let alone some dude in the street that overdosed and died. And here he is boo-hooing. So now he's back with the performance. So we better go ahead and dive in and see how this is all unfolding and what does this mean for our society? How can we take away some things from this whole horrific situation?
Families are suffering immense pain right now. Think of this as if it were your own. Every one of us needs to be wrapping our arms around these families, giving them every ounce that we can muster.
Now, so far, so good. The performance starts off pretty good. Now, when it comes down to this, when you start to really break it down, and I want to simplify how certain problems can be addressed and solved, and these people make it so difficult. They appear or they attempt to make it difficult because they don't want to solve the problem. And when he talks about, think about this as your own, I'm saying, well, if that was my child, I probably would be going, what was a practical way that we could have prevented something like this, or at least had a better shot at preventing something like this? Because surely the suggestion that's about to come out of this guy's mouth is not what I want to hear. It's not what I want to hear. So let's continue.
These were Minneapolis families. These were American families. And the amount of pain that they are suffering right now is extraordinary. And don't just say this is about thoughts and prayers right now.
See, that's where you went wrong. That's where you went wrong. See, Democrats always got to take a shot at religion, especially Christianity. A shot at prayer, downplaying it, normalizing it. Y'all just do that all the time because they don't understand. They don't understand the power of prayer. They don't understand the meaning of prayer, the purpose, all of that, the comfort that it gives you. They don't understand that. However, just from a logical standpoint, my question would be, what do you want people to do besides stop for a second and pray? What do you want people to do? Take to the streets? Well, what is this man's expectation? Now, he's saying this stuff because he's going somewhere with this. He knows that conservatives, when things like this happen, have a tendency to stop and pray for the family. He also knows that conservatives are supportive of the Second Amendment. And what he's attempting to do is bypass all of the thoughts and prayers and lead towards action. But his plan of action is directing everybody towards getting rid of guns. So now he takes this opportunity to lay the groundwork to minimize thoughts and prayers. And his plan of action, you'll see as he continues to pontificate this garbage.
These kids were literally praying. It was the first week of school. They were in a church. These are kids that should be learning with their friends. They should be playing on the playground.
Nothing about this man seems sincere. When Democrats come out and situations like this happen, they put on performances, but it just don't seem sincere. Don't seem sincere. They should be things, that you say, that you think people will want to hear. It sounds pretty good. Even though I can tell the way he's breathing, the way he's talking, he's a little nervous because he knows this is a performance. I really don't think a lot of these Democrats care about things like this because they have a certain degree of, sociopath in them, where they're used to making these bootleg platitudes acting like they care, making these speeches and things like that, but they're disconnected. Because see, if they really cared about, lives being lost and all of this stuff, they would be giving these speeches across the board. Like, for example, when Laken Riley, was killed by an illegal immigrant. None of them came back and said, you should be, their thoughts should be with the parents and the family. And what? Why can y'all muster that emotion up? Couldn't do it? Okay. See, so now all of a sudden, they find an opportunity to say, well, look at us. We care about people and all of this stuff. But don't get it twisted. The real motivation of all of these performances and stuff like that is to go straight towards what they always want to do. Get those guns. Let's continue though.
They should be able to go to school or church in peace without the fear or risk of violence, and their parents should have the same kind of assurance.
Now, you're talking about this should happen, life should be, we all know that. We all know about what should be. I mean, shoot, everybody should have some place to live, food to eat. Everybody should have the right to, it's all good and all. Give me some practical ways that this can be done. If you're going to come out and say they should, and this and that, and all of this stuff, well, is there ways that we can go ahead and make that become a reality? Or are you just saying it should, and this and this and that? See, because everybody could do that. Everybody should have food, shelter, all this stuff. Democrats are experts at saying this is how life should be. We all know how life should be, but we have to deal with how life is. That's what we have to do. And starting from that point, you're able to make practical, and common sense policies to make it happen. I mean, look at what's going on up there in Washington, D.C. I mean, there shouldn't be crime in cities. People shouldn't carjack each other. People shouldn't shoot and kill folks. However, up there in D.C. and many other ran, Democrat ran cities and states, it's happening. So should we just keep saying it shouldn't be like this, and it should, or do we do things like what Trump did? Do something that actually impacts it, makes a difference, instead of just going, it should. So here we go. It says Kevin just joining. Oh, okay. Yeah, YouTube playing games. They're not going to like this one. All right, but let's continue watching this performance.
These are the sort of basic assurances that every family should have every step of the day, regardless of where they are. And I have heard about a whole lot of hate that's being directed at our trans community.
There it comes. Now let me go ahead and take up for a group of people that we've encouraged to feel like they're victims. We have coddled and we have made a part of our platform to the point where we're always in everybody's face. We want to definitely demonize anybody who disagrees with trans ideology, kids being transgender and stuff like that. Yeah, we want to demonize them. However, when one of the folks that we claim are the victims become the perpetrator, how do we do this? How do we cover this up? Well, we start off by saying, first of all, anybody who's criticizing him or any of the other people in this community, that right now that's hate. That's hate and stuff like this. So wait, I can't criticize anybody. I can't make observations, draw conclusions and things like that without it be labeled as hate. No, I don't hate these people. I have criticisms. I have recommendations. I have an opinion, but I don't hate them. So this is how they try to silence opposition or criticism, to bubble wrap that community by saying, I've heard that people are using this opportunity for hate. So he already done got up under my skin, okay? Because he's trying to belittle my curiosity, my concerns, my opinion about this, and things like that. By starting off to say anybody who criticizes this is coming from a place of hate, and then he lays it on thick.
Anybody who is using this as an opportunity
Get it out.
to villainize our trans community.
There it is, villainize. To villainize our trans community. Now, whoa. You better ease up, you little weasel, you. You little jellyback, spineless, effeminate, softcore, raggedy politician. Because I tell you what, we as MAGA voters get villainized all the time. All the time. Man, we've been called Nazis, white supremacists, deplorables, responsible for all of the dictatorship that's taken. We get villainized constantly. Yeah, every opportunity Democrats get to villainize Trump and anybody who supports him, they do it. But now all of a sudden you can't villainize that anybody who takes this opportunity to villainize. So it sounds like I'm detecting a little bit of hypocrisy, but I'm gonna let him finish just to see where this is going.
Any other community out there has lost their sense of common humanity. We should not be operating out of a place of hate for anyone. We should be operating from a place of love for our kids.
So, if you're talking about from a place of love for our kids, well, how about you focus on the kids that just were victims of a shooting? And I'll even go one step further. If you want to talk about operating from a place of love for the kids, well, all of those little kids out there in Minnesota who you guys all encourage and support and say, look, when a kid tells you what gender they are, believe them. Believe them. Well, is that operating from a place of love for the kids? I mean, I thought if you love your kids, you tell them the truth. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah, you don't let your kids live a lie. You don't put your kids through that mess. You don't subject your kid to all of these hormones and changes and all that. You don't do that. If you really love your kids, you'd be going, son, I know somebody at school or somewhere might have told you this to brainwash you because I ain't never told you something like this, okay? I would never mislead you or encourage you to explore some mess like that. So after I get finished talking to you, I'm gonna go down to that school and find out where all this mess came from. However, you're not a horse, you're not a chicken, you're not a whatever, you're not Superman, you're none of these things. You're not a girl, you're not a boy. If you are a boy, that's what you are. If you're a girl, that's what you are. I'm not gonna let you walk around believing a lie. If you love the kid, you keep it real with them. You don't love them so much where you allow them to live a lie and then become frustrated that they're never able to reach the goal that you gave them or that they have in their head. There it is. Somebody come to me, Kev, man. I believe I can fly. I'll be going, that's great. No. The what, an airplane? Parachute maybe? What are you talking? No, I mean just me. Just you? That's it? Nothing? Not even a cape? Well, I might have a cape and all, man, but I've been really concentrating on it. I really believe my inner self can jump that building and just say, I can fly. And I'm going to go, dude, I could go ahead and set you up for failure by encouraging you to continue and pursue that. But I love you enough to say, you might need some help. Okay, we can help you. Because you're either going to be frustrated every time you go up, and away. Dang. I ain't getting no lift. Up, and away. Oh, man. What's up with this? Or you're going to hit a brick wall or the ground when you jump. One of those two things are going to happen. But either way, you're going to be miserable because you're trying to accomplish an unaccomplishable goal. That's what's going to happen. You're going to be angry, frustrated, wondering why you can't reach it. And all of us are encouraging you, telling you, you got this, baby. You could do it. Just continue to believe. All I'm doing is setting you up for failure. Let's continue.
The impetus has to be on all of us as leaders to do a whole lot more.
Like what?
To recognize that we've got more guns in this country than we have people.
Here we go. There it is. They always leak it out. So now the diversion, the pivot, the deflection. Don't look at the trans community, okay? I'm already going to label you as someone who has hate in their heart. Don't look at them. Don't even try to say, what is the correlation between this young man, as we're going to find out more about him and see how maybe this ideology, this belief could have influenced him. Well, we're going to find that out. But he don't want us to explore that. Any other time, When one of these shootings take place, we got to find out the motive of the shooter, especially if they white. Because see, if they white, then they right. For them to come out and criticize, and not just criticize, but label all white men. See, that's when it's okay to demonize a whole community. All like that. This is going to show the bigger threat to our country is the white men. They would love nothing more than this person to have been a white person. Not even got to be a Trump supporter. Just a white man that ain't trans. White man that ain't trans. And they would have had a field day on that the shooter could have definitely been motivated by white supremacy. They would have let all of that out there and they wouldn't have cared about demonizing and labeling a whole community of people. And then, on top of that, after demonizing the whole community, they would then land on right where he's landing, guns. So now, don't look at the guy who did it. Don't even question how maybe his ideology might have encouraged him to do something like this. Don't question that. What you really got to consider is we got more guns than people. So what do you suggest? Friar Duck, what do you suggest about all of those guns? If we got more guns than people in America, then trying to go ahead and collect them all is futile, especially if you're criminals, right? So should we now what? Go and say, all right, everybody come and bring your guns in. Oh, what? Now, criminals, you gotta operate on the honor system. You think they're gonna do that? They're gonna say, great, get the guns from all of the law-abiding citizens so then we can have free reign. And of course, if the Democrats get in power and become really tyrannical like they want to, there'll be no resistance. Why is it that this is the go-to of the left? Why is it? Why is it that they're always going after things that could stand in the way of true tyranny? True tyranny. You don't hear Trump, the tyrannical leader of our country, suggesting that we got to get all these guns off the street. I mean, what kind of, a dictator is Trump? I'm saying, where you at, Trump? If you're supposed to be a dictator, do dictator stuff. Like get those guns out of everybody's houses and shut every opposition up when it comes down to bums like this and freedom of speech. But he's not doing that. Democrats like to suggest these things. So now here we go. We already knew. Here comes the gun narrative to pivot from focusing on this gentleman right here. And I won't call him a gentleman. I'm just, this guy, this bum who did this. Yeah. You don't want you looking at him.
Fry's ideological potshot seemed aimed at obscuring the obvious. Robin Westman's motive was a clear hit against Christians.
Oh, there it is. Clear hit against Christians because it's open season on Christianity. That's the one religion you can get on TV and call white Christians and white Christian national. You can't say white or people of color Muslims. And you can't do that. No other religion. But you can tee off on Christianity all day long. Yep. See, so they're banking on all of us Christians just saying, well, we'll turn the other cheek. Let you go ahead and pound on us, smack us in the face, call us. No. We do have backbones and we will fight back within the parameters of our faith. There you go. All right. So now all of these people always got something to say about Christians when stuff like this happen. I thought, you know what? We don't need your prayers and stuff at this point. They're always teeing off on Christianity. They're always using Christianity in a negative way if they can. Yeah, to stifle all of the Christians that might be conservatives out there by labeling them Christian nationalists, whatever that means, and stuff like that. So now this person, of course, is motivated, and we'll find out, because one of his motivations is his hatred towards Christianity. Now, why would this person hate Christianity? Because if you really believe in Christianity or you were subjected to it at some point, it bumped heads with what you believe in and what you desire. It doesn't make room for you to decide what you are as a sex. Can't do it. When God put that apple stem on you, it's there. You could even chop that mug off and you'll still be a man. See, that's what Christianity does. And actually, most religions. But of course, since Christianity is the dominant religion in the United States, that's the one that gets thrown in their face and they don't like it. You know, it frustrates them. Why would God make me this way? Now, you don't think as a Christian, there's things that run through my head, things I would want to do that I would say, man, boy, I tell you, I would love to do this, but I can't say, you know what, I'm mad at you, God, because you said this is wrong and you say, I wouldn't do that. I'm telling you right now, I didn't make it. That's not what I desired. That's not my will. That's not, you know what? Yeah, you can't make the rules. And that's the problem. When you have been told that, no, you're not the problem. Something else is the problem. And God, made the mistake. Now you're mad at him. At some point you just got to eat it. You got to say, you know what? I know this is wrong. I know this ain't right. I know this is not God. I just want to do it. I just feel this way. I look at, I think, who was it? It was Jeffrey Dahmer. As evil as he was, that guy made a confession. He said, man, I knew I was done for. I knew I was evil. I ain't come from a bad home. I came from a Christian upbringing. I wasn't beat. I wasn't molested. I wasn't abused. None of those things happened to me. I'm just evil. And I knew I needed to be caught because I knew I couldn't stop. I got to be caught to stop. Yeah, as evil as he was, he said, look, the problem is me. I said, wow, now I wasn't expecting that because most of them be like, it's not my fault, it's society. And you know what? God put these temptations in front of us. It's not my fault. You got to go ahead and eat it. But when you refuse to do that, now you take it out on God. Now you go on anybody who represents what I, am upset about because he won't let me live my life and let me have a free conscience doing it. There it is. He's always in my conscience. He always reminds me that I'm trying to live a lie when I say, you know what? I'm going to the bathroom and I have to stand up and pee. You know what? I would love to go ahead and ovulate, but I have testicles. I would love to give birth to a baby, but I don't have ovaries. Yeah, those are things that will frustrate you enough to where you say, who's responsible for this? Now, they've been telling me God made me like this. Now I got a problem with him and anybody who believes in him. So here we go.
Police say Westman even queued up a YouTube video to drop as the shooting unfolded. In it, he paces his room with a rifle, shotgun, and a pistol on the bed. Authorities say all three were used in the attack.
Wow. So now we're starting to see the effects of the more you resist God, the more he resists you. The further away you go from him, the further away he goes from you. Now, what does that mean? When you look at Pharaoh, God told Moses to go tell Pharaoh, Pharaoh, let my people go. And then right then, after that, said, but he will not let the people go, for I will harden his heart. And I said, wait a minute, now that ain't fair. You told Moses to go and tell him to let the people go, but you're going to harden his heart so he can't let the people go? That doesn't seem fair. What it really means is if you draw nigh unto him, he'll draw nigh unto you. But the more you resist him, the darker your heart will become. So Pharaoh started off like, sure, let the people go. Then he second thought it. Wait a minute, heck, nah. You know what? Nah, you ain't taking these people. Every time you do that, God says, see, you're resisting my will, so I'm going to step back. I'm going to leave a void between you, and I'm allowing something else to come in and take place. So now this guy is manifesting some serious demonic activity. Not only is he damaged psychologically, but now he done opened up the door for some demonic influence too, especially when you're doing things like this.
What jumps out, though, is the firing range target pinned to his wall.
Oh.
The headshot wasn't a silhouette. It was Jesus Christ.
Wow. So now you're full blown, demonically influenced. When you're sitting back, even sinners don't do stuff like this. I know a lot of hood dudes, a lot of thugs. They would be like, man, I don't play around like that though, for real, man. You got to completely be turned over to a reprobate mind and infested with demonic activity to say, I'm going to use Jesus's head as a target. Even folks that ain't Christians go, well, I'm not going to do something like that just in case. Maybe I might be able to get a little sympathy if he is real. You know, at the end of the day, I'd be like, nah, I didn't make you a target. I mean, I might have did everything else that I don't believe, but I ain't do that. There's certain things you just don't do. Even in my worst, I didn't get out there cursing God. I was like, hey, I might be a sinner, but I know, they don't go that far. This person does this. But remember, the friar duck, he doesn't want us to even know these things. He don't want us to know these things. Yeah, there it is. When he's talking about, you know what, we should be talking about love. Go to a place of love in your heart. You know, now what he wants is that love to cover up our common sense when it comes down to stuff like this. There it is. Love this guy who did this. Now, God can love you and send you straight to hell at the same time. I love you, man, but you got to go. See, you can love all humans, but that doesn't mean you can overlook, you know, what the real deal is with them. But that's what he wants. He wants to bully us and manipulate us and talk about love. Therefore, but now if this was a conservative, it wouldn't be no love. There it is. If these were Trump supporters who did something like this, wouldn't be no overlook everything, overlook whatever. Don't criticize them. Don't look into their background. Don't label them. Don't love. Let love fill your heart. So let's continue and see if we can go ahead and listen to Friar Duck.
Crown of thorns and all, with a message underneath about how Christ paid the debt for our sins. Scattered across the bed were magazines for those firearms, each one defaced with messages. One read, "Where is your God?" Another read,
"Where is your God? Where is your God?" See? You know, there was a prolific, just a horrific, what was he, a hitman for the Gambino family, the Iceman. You might have seen the movie. They did an interview with the Iceman in prison. A psychologist came in. He let this psychologist interview him because he was curious to learn why he wasn't able to feel like other humans. He couldn't understand how he was able to kill folks and feel nothing. One time, he was describing how he would chop the bodies up inside of a bathtub with a chainsaw. And the psychologist said, you do realize that's not normal. Normal human beings they're not okay and comfortable with hacking another human up. And he said, I know that. I know. He said, but that's why I have you here. I need you to tell me why I don't feel anything. I know, just from a conscious standpoint that that's not normal, but I need to know why I am able to do it like it is normal. And then he asked him, he said, do you ever regret, any of the folks you killed? He said, nope. Now, you know what? Actually, there is one situation. He said, one guy came home to the crib, walked in his apartment, and the Iceman was in there. Now, you already knew. When you see the Iceman, it's over. It wasn't one of those, we're here to break your legs for our money. When the Iceman is there, you're like, oh, man, this is it. I done blew through all my chances to pay up the scratch. And so he set the dude at the table, and the guy was crying and boo-hooing and said, oh, God, please don't let this happen, please. And he said, oh, you think God can stop me? He said, I tell you what, I'm going to give you a half an hour to pray to ask God to stop me. And if God stops me in a half an hour, I won't kill you. But if he doesn't, I'm going to kill you. He let that guy beg God for a half an hour, and afterwards he shot the guy. Now, even the Iceman said, you know what? That I shouldn't have did that. That was one thing that I shouldn't have did. And this guy right here, he said, where's your God? Basically, he's saying, when I do this evil deed, where's your God? Is he going to stop me? I mean, since God is supposed to be real and everything, and he's great, where is he? Watch me do this evil act, and defy your God, who's supposed to be the one that's protecting you all. But we'll see, because that guy right there making that choice by shooting himself, boy, I tell you. He just found out where God is. Let's continue.
For the children, and the largest magazine of all, killed Donald Trump.
Oh, well, look at that. But remember, it's the folks on the right. It's the folks on the right. This all violent and, you know what, we're filled with hate and all of this stuff. We're the ones that motivate all of. But this guy right here, Why is it that all of these liberals are always talking about taking Trump out? I mean, this guy wrote it out. I mean, it's all. Now, do you understand? This is a trope of all kind of stuff that the Democrats got to go. This goes against everything. How are we? These are things we support. We support the trans community. We hate Trump, and we're always labeling him as a Nazi, a white supremacist. And this person, who's obviously a leftist, put that on that clip, that magazine right there. How do we overcome all of this? We're the ones who always demonize folks and label them, and this one of our own is impossible to overlook. No trying to downplay this one like they did. He's attacker for Paul. He was a right winger and he came in and hit Paul with that hammer. No, he wasn't a right winger. He was a leftist. Yeah, but y'all tried to, operate in the gray area and make stuff up. This undeniable, full-blown leftist fulfills every stereotype of a liberal Democrat leftist. And now, how are they going to overcome this?
Even more chilling, Westman wasn't just armed. He was ready to trap kids inside. In the video, he shows off a 2x4 meant to jam the school's exit door.
So he wanted to go overboard with the evil. There it is. He wasn't just satisfied with a little bit of evil. He wanted to maximize the evil. That's what he wanted to do. But we're supposed to overlook all of these things that would love. Focus on guns, because I'm sure all of those guns that were laid on that bed, jumped off that bed against that man's will, got in that car, drove down there to that church and went to kill him. I'm sure that's what happened. There it is. Yeah, see, as Fry has the nerve to talk about we got more guns in the country than the human. Unbelievable. Why doesn't our guns do that? I got a whole wall of paint. Why aren't my guns jumping off that wall, going out, committing crimes against my will? Why is it? I got more guns in here than me. I'm just one man. One man with all of those pistols and rifles and shotguns and stuff. Not once did they say we can overwhelm Kev. Do our own thing, baby. Go down there, commit all kind of crimes, come back home here, never know we did it. Never know we did it. Nope. Those bad boys don't move without my will. Now, if I'm crazy, okay, and I do something like that, who's responsible? Who's responsible? Is it those guns or is it me? But when somebody like this, who fits all of the Democrat, of course, stereotypes, they don't want to focus on that. At that point now, focus on the guns. There it is. Don't focus on the mental state that person was in, the motive of this person. Don't focus on that.
Across it in black marker, no escape. He bragged it was for the emergency exit, and he likely knew exactly where terrified children would run because his mother once worked at the school.
Wow. Complete embarrassment. This guy right here is going to say, thanks, Mom, for all of the encouragement that you gave me to become a little girl, that I was frustrated because I could never become one. And so, therefore, I'm going to go to the place where you took me growing up or whatever, or where you worked. And I'm going to commit one of the most heinous crimes that you can think of, and probably would have had more damage. I don't know what stopped him. I don't know if he ran out of ammo. I didn't hear anything about he was confronted with resistance. And at some point, I guess he just felt that he did enough and, took himself out. However, that's what that guy had planned to do. Here it is, pure evil. But remember, focus on the guns. Focus on the guns.
This horrible cycle of the trauma, the tragedy. I mean, you mentioned that the whole nation. I had to send a note to my brother to say, my niece and nephew, who are 9 and 10, don't watch the show today because I don't want them to be traumatized. They'll hear about it. And parents are dealing with this all across the country. You
hear that? So now here comes the media. Here comes the spin. Here comes the diversions and all of these things. So don't focus on it. Don't let the kids and this and this and that. Okay. Let's get to what they really want to do.
We do have breaking news. We are learning about the identity of the individual behind this horror that we saw there in Minneapolis today. Law enforcement has identified the shooter as Robin Westman. This is according to multiple law enforcement officials who have been briefed on the matter. Now, at this point, they know that this person was transgender.
They don't want to focus on that. Yeah, at that point, that has nothing to do. Nothing to do. Well, we're going to see if there are some, some ways that having that mentality could have also influenced some of your behavior. We're going to see if there's any correlation. Going to see that. But right now, they don't want you to make that connection at all. Let's just say the person's name, this and that. So let's continue, y'all, because this person does not fit anything they could benefit off of. Nothing. Yeah, see, they can't use this person to say that. Now, see, this is an example of white supremacy. Nothing. It's just, let's keep it nice and plain. That his name was Robin, and there it is.
We are continuing to follow the latest details about this shooter. Apparently, they targeted the Annunciation Catholic Church and school specifically. So we're still trying to get
specifically. Now, here we go. This is the stuff that makes me want to go ahead and turn green as we watch these people try to get everybody that's watching their raggedy networks focus on guns. Yeah, we don't even want to talk about this person's identity and all of this stuff. And if we do, it's only to demonize you guys and tell y'all shouldn't be talking about this.
A better handle on. We're still going through the videos and going through the writings. So just to describe it to folks, they're YouTube videos where there's a number of either journals or they look like journals where there's a number of writings, not all of them in the English language or some sort of Eastern European language that's used. Some of it is in English. And this individual is writing about a whole host of things. Won't get into all
host of things. Don't want to get into all of it. There it is. Don't want to get into all of it. You don't want to talk about this demonization of Christians and this hatred of Trump, but there's even more that we're going to learn about this person and see if there's a correlation between the frustration of wanting to be something you can never become. Here we go.
Particular details, as we stated last hour, we're not here to do the bidding of this individual. So
At that point, you don't want to talk about all of that. Let him be a conservative. Oh, I despise nasty Pelosi. You know what? All of the Democrats they should all be put in Hades, and it would be all over. That he's mentioned things about the Democrats. He's expressed his hatred towards Nancy Pelosi, but now all of a sudden we don't want to talk about that because it doesn't fit our narrative. There it is. It doesn't fit our narrative. As much as we always talk about Christians are persecuted, you guys are making this up that white nationalist Christian. We don't want y'all to say, there we go again, Christians under attack. Christians hate it. Yeah. What party normally always criticizing Christians and their beliefs and downplaying their beliefs? Patronizing them for it. Yeah. Using it to try to manipulate the conservative. How can you call yourself a Christian and you voted for Trump? Stupid stuff like that. So let's continue.
Basically put out the information they were hoping to gain out of this shooting. We won't get into all the particular details.
Why not? Oh, that's why. Don't want to get into all the particular details. Like what? Like that? You didn't think that was something that we might need to know? Or, you don't want to get into those particulars. At this point, we don't want to jump to conclusions, even though we already done read what this person is about. And that's why we're not going to go ahead and get into those conclusions. We're going to start off by saying we don't want to jump, but we need to relax, sit back. What? It was a Trump supporter? Obviously, he was a white supremacist. He's probably motivated by Trump. If it was the other way around. But now, we don't want to jump to conclusions. We're not going to do his bidding. We're going to go ahead and No, you're doing the bidding of the radical left who praises these people and encourages them to buy into this, this fantasy. See, that's what you're doing.
To follow the breaking news of the deadly shooting at a church in Minneapolis where 2 children were killed and six more children are in critical condition.
Now, see, that is where you reach peak demonic possession, peak evil. When you can take out kids, women and kids, even some of the hardest criminals in prison are like, you know what? You're in here for doing what? You took out some kids? Oh, we're going to have fun with you. Oh, what? You took out some women? Oh, even the worst of the worst understand that you don't mess with kids. That means you've reached the level of evil that exceeds some of the worst people on the planet who got enough integrity to say, don't mess with the kids. The kids and the women. But there you go.
Along with others who were injured in this shooting. But we now have an identification on the shooter.
Oh, okay, here we go.
Let me bring in MSNBC's Mark Santia along with Christopher O'Leary, a former FBI
Break it down to us. Give it to us.
All we knew up until this point, Mark, the brief description we got at the press conference was early 20s, wearing black clothing, cargo-like pants.
Give me more.
But now we know who this person is.
Come on, break it down.
And according to multiple senior law enforcement officials briefed on this matter, they say federal law enforcement has identified the Minneapolis church shooter as Robin Westman. Now, police have said publicly that Robin Westman is in their 20s with a limited criminal history. NBC News.
Limited criminal history. Robert Weston. That's it? You ain't got nothing else for me? That's it? That's all I get? Let's continue.
Has confirmed with those same law enforcement officials that the suspect left behind videos that were posted online. There were writings that referenced suicide as well as extremely violent thoughts and ideas. There was an apology to their family and a handwritten sketch of the interior layout of a church. Now, Chris, it's not
all premeditated, but you're still missing a key element. You're still leaving out a key detail.
Clear or confirmed if that sketch, that individual sketch, is the church where the shooter eventually opened fire. But that's what we know right now. So Robin Westman has been identified by federal law enforcement as the shooter.
This is not the time to jump to conclusions.
Oh, well, looky here. Looky here. There comes the cavalry. This is not the time to jump to conclusions. We want to go ahead and start running interference because remember, this whole transgender agenda is a part of the Democrat platform. Yeah, they've been the ones who've really, been indoctrinating folks with this, encouraging folks with this. Joe Biden, when that lady said, I have my son here, he was 9. And he's transgender, and Joe Biden, if your son wants to be a transgender, then he can be a There you go. 9 years old, don't know how to wash your butt, can't wash up under ain't even got no armpit hairs, nothing. But if you want to make a choice like that, life-changing, go ahead. All Democrats, they're the ones who encourage this. Now, you got to understand. If they weren't using this as a part of their political platform, they wouldn't have to come out and make these excuses. If they weren't the ones that encourages this type of, thinking and behavior, then you wouldn't have to worry about it. See, because you got to understand, you guys are trying to legislate mental disabilities. Yeah, if it was up to you guys, y'all would force everyone to pretend that these people aren't suffering from delusions. Yeah, y'all wanted to go ahead and legislate it. And then went one step further, the kids. You guys are just as foul and nasty when y'all target kids and try to destroy their lives by telling them, yep, you can make those choices at 3 and 5, and here, we'll help you. We'll help you by sending certain books into the schools. We'll help you. Yeah, by making certain states sanctuary just in case you want to go ahead and get smuggled into my state and do something against your parents' will. You're safe here. Safe here. Democrats. So now, what do they have to do? Come out and try to protect, the trans community. Now, let me make it clear. I'm not saying that a person who is transgender is, automatically going to go out and do something horrible like this. But we're going to find out there is a correlation between these type of things when it comes down to that. So let's continue because this lady is saying, let's not jump to conclusions.
About the shooter, right? What his ideological views might have been, what his own personal situation was. And this is the time where, unfortunately, Americans have a habit on social media of...
Americans? Because, see, I'm pretty sure you stinking folks in the media would have jumped to all types of conclusions immediately if this was not a person who was transgender. Immediately. But do you see her running interference? This whole opening statement, that his motivations, his personal life. Yeah, forget all of that. Just focus on his name was Robin so and he did this. That's it. Don't jump to conclusions.
Speculating about things and sometimes vilifying communities.
Oh, you hear that? Yeah. Forget the Catholic folks who just got shot and killed. Forget those kids. Now we want to focus on, wait a minute, ease up. Don't get mad at the community. Don't focus on them. Don't. Now, let me make it clear. I discourage any and condemn any type of violence. And just because this person was transgender is not going to make me say, now I'm going to go out and I'm going to attack the. I don't do stuff like that. No. And at the end of the day, individuals make choices. They make choices. However, when you have a whole bunch of individuals who've been brainwashed to believe something in particular that could possibly lead to or encourage them to do something crazy, not all of them are mentally strong enough to hang on. I mean, you got folks out there that believe they're transgender and they'll never do nothing like this. But if you're already wavering when it comes down to reality and you're frustrated because you're trying to accomplish something you can never accomplish, and you got people in your ear telling you you're a victim, everybody's against you, everybody hates you, the whole world's trying to make you unexist, they're trying to disappear you. That might be just enough to make you break. I'm just saying. But hey, who's the people who encourages this stuff?
Assumptions about communities who might be responsible before we have any information that would indicate who is responsible or whether they're part of any particular ideological or other community.
23-year-old Robin Westman was able to leave what police called a video manifesto that they're now going through to try and establish motive.
Now, you ready for this? Are you ready for this nasty, stinking propaganda to go ahead and try to slide something in, and if you're smart, you'll catch it? Let's see.
We've also been going through it and can tell you there are crude diagrams of the church.
And
there are also photos of the weapons, and they include all sorts of writings, the names of past mass shooters, criticism of Israel, the name of President Trump written on the guns. There are also racial.
Wait a minute. In what context? See, that's what I want to know. Did you hear what that guy just did? There you go. So just in case you think this guy is 100% a leftist, radical leftist, a transgender radical leftist, just in case you're wondering whether he's 100% on the left side of things, I'm going to slide in a misleading, a trope just to make you think that, wait a minute, maybe he wasn't a radical leftist. Maybe he was doing this in the name of Trump. Yeah, maybe he was like, Trump, baby, MAGA all day. But he wasn't. He said Trump should be taken out. But you left that out. Because, see, you don't want Trump to look like a victim. You want him to look like a villain. You don't really want that when people find out this guy and how he felt about Trump and what he was. Yeah, see, that once again is an indictment on the left, because who's the people who's encouraging everybody to look at Trump as Hitler, Mussolini, Diablos, and all of that? It ain't us. That's coming from the left. So surely if you're a fragile person like this who said Trump's trying to erase the transgender community, Trump's trying to roll back, Trump's trying to unexist, Trump is attacking, then maybe Trump's name might get popped up on there, not in the context of what you bum, is trying to suggest. Instead, this guy wanted to take Trump out. Oh, let's continue exposing these nasty people.
Racial slurs, nihilistic statements, all painting the picture of a disturbed individual who carried out this mass shooting.
5 years ago was Robert, then a name changed to Robin.
Here we go. They're bringing Fry on. They're bringing Friar Duck on the show, not to go ahead and talk about how we can really protect our kids. Nah, that's not what you're bringing him on here for. You're bringing him on here to say, how can we protect the trans community from criticism? That's what this is all about right here. It ain't really to focus on the evil act. Yeah, we're going to mention that. We're going to mention that as a predicate to really launch into what I'm trying to do. What I'm really trying to do is cover for the trans community and, of course, push gun legislation.
Okay. This is being seized in all corners, as you can imagine, in all sorts of ways. And you know that, Mayor. And perhaps that's why when you spoke about this so profoundly and powerfully as you are even here now, but when you spoke about this today publicly, you voiced concern for the transgender community.
Oh, yeah. There you go. Yeah, I wanted to slide that in. That's important. Yeah. And we don't want anybody to look at the trans community in a negative way. So what do? Let's bring this guy back on to continue to stress. Don't look at the trans community, the community that we parades around, the community that we holds up. Don't look at that, because you might be able to make the connection that a lot of the folks who encourages, kids and stuff, because this guy's not old. This guy who did this, I think he's 21, 22. He started believing this as a kid out there in Tampon Timland, where everybody is celebrated when they believe this stuff. They're encouraged out there in Tampon Timland. See, so now all of a sudden, this person has to come out and run interference for this. And this person provides the platform for him to do it. We want your powerful speech. Let's get to what we're really trying to do is tell everybody, don't look that way.
For the community overall. And obviously, you chose to do that in that moment because you thought it was important. And I wanted to give you a chance to say why you felt it was important to do that in that moment.
Obviously, I've heard about the rhetoric and the narrative that is being pushed out, but here's the thing. Anybody that is going to use this as...
What is the rhetoric and the narrative? Is it not true? I mean, is the person not trans? Is the person not a radical, liberal? Did they not, write all that stuff and all the demonic stuff that they wrote and all these things? None of that's true. We got to overlook that. There you go. Overlook that and just look at the fact that this was a tragedy and the kids were praying and stuff like that. But don't worry about who did it and their background and what their motive could have been and all that stuff. Unless, of course, this was a regular, straight, cis white man. Do you think they would isolate the shooting just to that person? They say, no, you know what? We want to look at the individual and we don't want to demonize a whole community. We don't want everybody to start labeling. They would use this to label everybody, man. Nats back. Everybody who they could lump in with that person and their own personal choices. They would want to know the psychology, the motive, what he said. They would jump to all kind of conclusions and all of that, conclusions. They would do all of that. But now all of a sudden, we want to restrain, we want to be, and don't use this as
an opportunity to villainize our trans community or any community has lost touch with a common humanity.
You should be only focused on kids that were victims of this. That's it. You shouldn't even be trying to run cover for anybody, whether it's that person or the trans community or anybody. Let people say what they say. Right now is not the time for you to get out there and run interference for the trans community, because now it seems like your priority, which it is the trans community, making sure they're bubble wrapped, and of course, going after guns. Now it seems like the kids that were the victims are now taking second fiddle to the real goal and agenda. Dang, out of all the people who could have did this, it was a trans person. Now I got to get out there and run cover.
We got to be operating not out of hate for any group,
trying to bully us,
but out of a love for our children.
Love for our children. No love for our children. What they got to do with the trans person who did this? For a love for our children. You just gonna throw that in there? Trying to bust us up on the inside, soften us up, make us go ahead and say, well, you know what? It's not working, Fry.
That's where the focus needs to be right now. A love for our kids. Seeing these kids, not just as somebody else's kids, this horrific thing happened, but what if it was our own?
Yeah. Don't look over there. Look at the kids. Just focus on the kids, not the animal who killed the kids. Yeah, just focus on the kids. Any other time, focus on the shooter, who he was, his background, his motivation. Right now, just focus on the kids. Focus on the kids. Yeah, now all of a sudden, just focus on the kids.
How would we feel then? So, look, we need to be standing up for every community out there. Our Catholic community, too, by the way.
Yeah, I need to throw that in there because I already realized I done went so far out of my way to focus on the trans community as an afterthought. Now I got to pretend that I'm covering everybody. See, this running and interference is for everybody. It's for everybody. That's what it is. I figure I'd throw the sprinkle the Catholic community in too, as an afterthought. But right now, it's like to focus on the kids and to make sure that the community.
I mean, any community that suffered.
I have been thinking about them as my own.
And here it comes. Here comes the worst example of all. I've been waiting for this ginger right here. I've been waiting for Raggedy Patty in this performance she's about to put on. Burns me up. So now, isn't it odd that all of these people are bringing this guy on their show and giving him the opportunity to run interference for who? Not children in schools that are vulnerable to these type of attacks, because you guys refuse to really do smart things that could protect these kids from these incidents, like actually having guards, allowing certain teachers or whomever to be armed. But if you have a couple guards, that might discourage somebody who says, I'm about to go up in there and do something crazy. Oh, shoot. There's a man right there and there's another guy right there. Oh, I'm going to suffer some real resistance. So maybe I shouldn't go here. Soft targets. But every time you suggest that we don't want guns in the school, and the kids that feel like they're in the military, they would feel like they're safe. When kids see police officers guarding them, they don't think, I'm in a military, I'm in a concentration camp. Kids are smart enough to understand that's a policeman. Yeah, policemen represent safety. Yeah, teach them that police officers are there for protection, not there to say, you know what, you're white supremacists and the payoff, all that mess. If you let them see police officers, they will love that. We all had and saw police officers and guards. They go places out in the public where there are security. They don't look at them and say, I feel like I'm out there in a concentration camp. They understand what police represent. And I would feel great if I had kids and I dropped them off at the school and I saw a couple policemen there. I'd feel great. But no, every time you suggest that, these Democrats oppose it. Now, you know what? Now you're trying to. So now, what do you have to do? You have to bring this guy on, not to address some real solutions to make sure that we tighten the security for kids, but instead, tighten the security for the trans community.
As I know many people watching have been thinking about them as their own. It's so fresh here. It's just happened this morning, and there has already been sort of some effort, which I think is so sick and disgusting, to weaponize some of the details, even if we don't know a lot at this point in time.
You see that? You see this chick? So disgusting to weaponize some of the details if we don't even know it. Yeah. I mean, wait a minute. These are the same people who allowed folks to get up there and swear up and down that a picture of Border Patrol agents on horseback were whipping Haitians. Yeah, they weren't worried about weaponizing the details then. They didn't say, now let's wait, let's get some. No, of course, this is horrible. Look at this, they're down there whipping folks. Yeah, they didn't wait for those details. No, they never wait for details. And they never talk about weaponizing details until it's somebody that they feel, oh, we are behind. These people we support. These are our folks. Our folks. So now watch this cover.
I mean, obviously the law enforcement in your city have been keeping people abreast, including details about the individual possibly being trans, about the individual possibly having negative things to say about Trump, about some things that have been on the weapons. A lot of this is just very early reporting.
Early reporting. Well, a lot of this is these are facts. What are you talking about? Just because it's early reporting makes it the suspect is questionable. But yet you list the details and then say just early reporting. We all know the name was on there. We all saw it. We all know this guy's transgender. But now you're trying to, add the suspicion, the doubt, now don't jump to conclusions. There's still more evidence that needs to come out. And trust me, we are not going to be the network that drops it out there like that. Because, see, we want to make sure it stays ambiguous and it's kind of the mystery and all of that stuff. So now, here she is. Don't jump to details.
What do you do, leader of your city, to prevent detail?
What? No. What do you do in your city to prevent these things from happening to kids? That's what the question should have been. But what does nasty, stinking, raggedy Patty talk about? Do we want to focus on? What do you do to keep people
from being weaponized and using this to blame something other than the guns?
Other than the guns, guys. Now all of a sudden, it's just the guns, man. It ain't got nothing to do with the person. Do you see this? This chick should be taken off the air right now. Right now. What do you do? They people to be weaponized instead of just the only thing that's the... Now all of a sudden, it's just the guns. Isn't that odd? How now all of a sudden, you can't tie this to a white supremacist, a white nationalist, the white Christian national. You can't tie it to that. So now you reduce this magnanimous situation to guns. Let's make sure that all of our dumb voters focus on one of two things. You got two choices. You could either focus on the love and, of course, the children, or the guns. Don't focus on who used that gun. Don't focus on who's that person that had the motivation to do it, what they believed in, what they wrote. Don't focus on that because you're demonizing it. You're weaponizing this stuff. Everybody, just look at the gun. How dare this chick? Now you take away all the responsibility of human behavior. Everybody is the sum choice of their own decisions. But this chick says out there, you know what? The only problem is the guns. So now, if we have more guns in our country than we have the people, why haven't the guns rose up and just killed us all? Why haven't they done that? If they got minds of their own, if they just do whatever they want to do, why would they be subject to just being used by people? Sometimes you clean them, sometimes you don't. You know what I'm saying? Leave them in all kind of cracks and dirty places and throw them on stuff. You would think these guns, they got minds of their own, would rise up and kill us all. Isn't that odd how that's not happening? But she wants us to focus on the only thing that really we should focus on is the guns.
First off, anybody who is using this as an opportunity to villainize trans people has completely...
See how that name, that just keeps popping up? That title, the trans people. You think people want to hear about that right now after those kids were killed by a trans person? But that's why you're out here running interference for that person. Y'all want to make sure that you lower the concern, the curiosity about, whoa, I mean, is this an epidemic? I mean, how many people have done this? I mean, or is he the only trans person done it? I mean, is there a connection between that? You're trying to squash any of that conversation right there. And then telling us you don't want to politicize this. You don't want to politicize it. Unreal.
Lost touch with the common humanity.
Yeah. There it is. Yeah. That's how I try to back y'all up. Question your humanity, your morality.
Operate not off of hate for any community. Operate off of love for our kids.
Yeah, downplay your hate for anything. Nobody's saying we hate that community. Always have to stress that I don't hate anybody. I mean, I might criticize someone or some people, but that doesn't mean I hate them. I don't want to. But see, that's the whole point. The left, when they're trying to defend an argument, when they're trying to cover for something, the way they bubble wrap whatever they're trying to defend is just saying, well, you hate and you lost your humanity. If you question things that we exalt, promote, support, then it's coming from a place of hate. There it is.
Kids died today. Yeah. This should be about protecting our children.
Good. Then why are you talking about the trans community and people that operate from a place of hate?
This should be about loving our children. And far too often, I feel like people will think of the conclusion that they want to get to, and then they'll like reverse manufacture the facts that they want to hear to get to that.
The manufacture. Wait, so are we manufacturing the facts that this young man, who just out of his teens, but during his teens, was told, yeah, that's right. Whatever you feel on the inside, it's right. It's right. Even though it's wrong. Even though you're frustrated because you can never really become what you think you are. But we support you. And there's evil white supremacists and there's transphobes out there who they won't let you live out your truth. And the whole concept of God won't let you live out your truth. There it is. Every time you think of God, you know, yeah, that's where the buck stops. You could come up with all kind of stuff thinking we got the choices and we can make our own decisions and this and that. But at some point, yeah, right and wrong leaps outside of man. Yeah, you can convince 1,000 people it's okay to do this, but then you got to be confronted by God. That's where you go. I don't care who all you convince. I don't care how many people you get to sign off on it, support it, protest, march. Here is my statement. I override all of you that think you could do this, you could be that, this and that. You can think that if you want to. But reality smacks us all in the face. There are some things that you just can't override. And being what you are, that God created you, is one of them.
End point. We should be standing up for our Catholic community, by the way.
Oh, by the way, there it is.
The Catholic Church.
There it is. Throw them in. Throw them in, too.
Mm-hmm. We should be standing up for kids and churches and schools and all that. Let's love each other. The antidote to hate.
Yeah, forget this person who did this. Let's have a love fest, man. Bring it in. Let's not discuss the details of this person and their motivation. I'm about to try to overwhelm you guys with just love. A big fat, everybody this love and this and that. Don't get mad at anybody. Nobody's really responsible for this except the gun.
It's not more hate. The antidote to hate and cowardice, which clearly this shooter had, is not more hate. Hurt people hurt people. The antidote is love.
You hear these fake behind people, they disgust me. You think this guy believes any of this crap? And watch this performance that's about to come out of Raggedy Patty.
The antidote is standing up for our neighbor, no matter who they are.
You shut your mouth. Now all of a sudden, standing up for everybody, love, and the antidote is this and that. Yeah. Well, when it comes down to standing up for everything, you know what? I think it's standing up for your neighbors and loving them, protecting them, making sure we're safe. Yeah, with your lawless cities, soft on crime, all of that mess. Yeah, stand up for us by showing us you love us. If your parents love you, guess what they'll do? Protect you. If your politicians love you, but they're whining because Trump's a dictator and this and that because he's tough on crime and he's like, no, that shows I love you. You don't leave your people vulnerable. You don't leave your kids vulnerable. You don't leave the women vulnerable. You don't even leave yourself vulnerable. I guarantee you, he got somebody that's going to escort his butt out of that studio right there and watch over him. Sir, here's your door and I got you right there. Yeah. But now, when it comes to our kids and stuff out there, you know what? Just cover them with love. We could also cover them with some common sense decisions to keep these soft targets safer.
That's where we need to get to right now. And this whole effort to villainize a community, this is not about a community.
Then why do you keep talking about that community? Why are they all bringing you on to run interference for that community? Why is the conversation being driven straight towards protecting that community? So if it ain't just about that, then why are you talking so much about that? That's my question, because you were brought on there just for that.
That did this. The community didn't do this. A person did this.
A person did. Now it's a person that did this. Ain't the community. There it is. Don't worry about the ideology of the person, the mental stability of the person, none of that stuff, the motivation of the person. It's just don't focus on that. But any other time, y'all could demonize a whole community or group of people who are, politically opposition for you. You do it. Until something happens like this. Just like the person who killed Laken Riley. And what did Mucus do? When they asked him about, the only person that is responsible for this is the killer. There it is. Now all of a sudden, one person. Don't focus on all the illegal immigrant criminals. We want to drive you to just stay focused on the one person. And we don't really want you to even dibble and dabble in the background of that person. We don't want you to know that was an illegal immigrant that came into the country under my watch and was deported multiple times. We don't want you to dibble and dabble in that. I ain't going to get into those details. There it is. Let's just say that person was wrong. They were evil. Just focus on the one person. Don't focus on how my decisions, what I believe in, what I support might have led to that or encouraged that person or helped that person end up in Georgia to where that person could have killed Laken Riley. Don't focus on that. That's just that the only person responsible is Mucus. Joe Biden and the rest of the Democrats. But see, that's why when these things happen, what do? They come out here and say, don't focus on all the details that we're responsible for or maybe even encouraged. Focus on the person or guns.
And that was a horrific act, and we should all be saying that out loud. And we should all be loving each other more.
Loving each other more. Here it is.
All they should be hoping to do is have someone to sit with at lunch or someone to play with on the playground.
See, when you raise your voice like that and you go up about 5 octaves, I want somebody to the playground. But where are the tears? I want to see some makeup running. Ain't no makeup running. It's just a lot of this and this and that. Now watch her go straight from all of that boo-hooing, talking about people who is out there politicizing this, and watch what she does. Somebody said, hi, Kev, love your show. Thank you very much. Yeah, this right here, this is what motivated me to even do this video and talk about this. When I watched this chick's performance, I came off the bench. I said, the more I try to get out, they pull me back in.
They should be waiting to hear an update when they get home. And that is not what these parents at this school experience today. Sorry, this is a tough one. Having your child killed while they are sitting in a pew for a morning prayer service is not what any parent should have to worry about. And I have felt a mixture of anger and a lot of anger and emotional exhaustion about...
Anger? Towards who? Watch this anger shift. The only person you should be mad at is that person who shot and killed these kids. There you go. But somehow this anger is going to leap off of that person and find its way towards anybody who might investigate the background of this person. Maybe say, no, wait, could this have contributed to this person's mentality that did this? Yeah, watch this anger and stuff jump off of them.
This today, as I'm sure many of you have, because we have been here so many times, so many times.
Here we go.
And yet again, like clockwork.
Whoa. Watch this. Look at it. Here's the anger. Look at this anger jump off of, the person who did it to Trump, J.D. Vance, Christians.
Half of the politicians in our country have little more to offer than thoughts and prayers. That is all.
Now, you know why she did that, right? Know why they all keep saying little more to offer than thoughts and prayers? They're doing this and saying this because what they really want to do is open the door to push gun legislation. We don't want your thoughts and prayers. We want those guns. That's what we want. And because you guys support the Second Amendment, then basically you're responsible for this. Basically, all you law-abiding citizens that have guns that we want to get our hands on to, because we like tyranny. We like that stuff. Because of that, we don't want to hear your prayers. They don't work. That ain't doing nothing for us. How is you praying and thinking about these people going to help our goal and agenda to get your guns? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to segue into this, because really I want those guns, by letting everybody to know all your thoughts and prayers mean nothing. So what do you want? Do you want conservative politicians to come out and say, we're not going to pray. We don't need to be thinking about these families. What we're going to do right now is require every American that owns a gun to hand their gun in. That would make her happy. That's what would make all these Democrats who keep for some reason saying, we don't want your thoughts and prayers. You got to do more. Like what? Because see, doing more to me is going, now why you want to jump over all the law-abiding citizens and try to go ahead and say, yeah, you're jumping over practical stuff to get to all the guns? How about you start small? Put officers in those schools. You want to jump over the practical, solution to the major solution. The solution to collect more guns than we have humans in America. That vast task, that right there is easier than putting police officers and guards at schools. You see liberal logic? But it goes to show their motivation. Their motivation is not to protect these kids from being shot or killed or all of that stuff. Nah, all them crocodile tears don't move me. I see right through it. What you really want is those guns. All of the boo-hoo in here, now go ahead and give us all your guns.
All they are offering. Join all of us in praying for the victims was Vice President J.D. Vance's response today. That's what he said.
Yeah, and you want him to say, now we need to get all your guns. That's what you want? Is that what you want? Psaki?
That's it. Please join me in praying for everyone involved, Trump wrote.
Now you hear this bull crap. I mean, this is the stuff that makes me mad. Now, remember, guys, she wants more than you just saying your thoughts and prayers. What do you want them to do? So now you're criticizing them for saying, our thoughts and prayers go out to the family, which Democrats do that constantly. Constantly, our thoughts and prayers go out to the family, even though they don't even believe in prayer. But they'll throw that out there when they get muscled into it or they feel it's politically expedient. Our thoughts and prayers go out to the family. Our hearts are with the family. That's it. Yeah, they don't do nothing. They don't go down and visit families and stuff like that are victims of their bad choices. Nope, they don't do that.
We have seen this play out over and over again.
Here it comes. Here's the political angle. We've seen this play out over and over again. What? We've seen what? Transgender folks that are confused and mentally disturbed and angry because of you guys telling them they're victims and stuff like that, so they decide to take it out on society? Are you saying that's what we've seen play out over and over again? Nah, I don't think that's what she's talking about. Here we go.
There is a shooting, then come the thoughts and prayers, and then comes the attempt to shift the focus. This is what always happens. You're going to start seeing narratives. You're already seeing them. They're already out there.
Here they go.
About how the shooter was trans. You're going to see narratives about how the
shift the blame on the. You already seen them. So she's doing a whole bunch of covering up. Yeah, she's covering up for the trans community and this and that. And she's downplaying the thoughts and prayers. And they're saying now you're going to shift the blame right to the trans community instead of the real blame. Which are these magical personified guns? That's what it is. Yeah, that's the real problem. These magical personified guns. They're just getting off the walls and going down there and doing stuff. And we've seen them. We've seen them play out all over the place. We've seen this over and over again. Y'all ain't never seen a gun driving a car to go commit a crime? Y'all ain't never seen that? You're riding down the freeway and you look over and there's an AR-15 driving down the freeway like, man, I can't wait. You ain't never seen that? Unbelievable.
Shooter appeared to be anti-Trump and anti-Semitic, and clearly was in the midst of a mental health crisis. There's no...
Yeah, making all kinds of excuses for him. But that he appeared to be anti-Trump, anti-Semitic. I have to mention that because I'm really going to get it if I just go ahead and overlook that. But I'm going to go ahead and say that clearly was in the midst of anybody who commits a crime like this is psychologically damaged, whether you're trans, straight, whatever. Let's keep that. Let's put that there. It's right there. I'm not making excuses for anybody who goes out and commits any. At the end of the day, it's demons. It's evil. That's what it is. Yeah. What motivates somebody like that to go ahead and make that decision? However, at the same time, when you start saying, well, what kind of demonic influenced this person? What was some of the factors? Because most of the time, people just don't become instantly evil. Most of the time, that type of evil been building up and been influencing you for years. For years. You open the door to this, you subject yourself to that, you entertain this. You go ahead and, kind of downplay this issue where you go, it's just a small problem. It's a small problem. And that small problem becomes a big problem. Then it invites other problems in. It starts to say, all right, I'm in. All right, everybody, come on. I'm opening the back door. Yeah, so let's bring in all kind of stuff. And before you know it, now it's all of that stuff going, let's do this crazy thing. Okay.
Question about that. But here's the thing. There are trans people all over the world. There are anti-Semitic people, unfortunately, all over the world.
How do we get back to this? How do we get back to you trying to run interference for this person? You don't say things like this when you think y'all can benefit off of this. You don't say things like, well, here's the thing, that there are the conservatives all over the world. That doesn't mean all of them are white supremacists. Doesn't mean all of them are. You don't do that. You don't sit back. You generalize versus, you localizing it when it comes down to one of your own. Now, all of a sudden, everybody got problems. You got people all over the world. They all do that. Look, you can't really focus on this person, what they believed, and figure out, hey, based on what they believed, did that also be a factor in them making this decision?
And people filled with plenty of political hate all over the world.
What happened to the tears? What happened to it just a minute ago? But here's the thing. There's evil all over the world and there's political hate. You can't blame.
And mental health issues are not unique to the United States. And yes, we should do more to address them. But it's also an issue all over the world.
So how do you address those mental problems right there? Do you encourage them by saying, you know what? You just came to me with an impossible belief. You want to be something that you're not. And you know how I'm going to address your mental problems? By saying, absolutely, I feel you. I mean, shoot, I support you. That's how I'm going to address it. So now, the people who encourage delusion are now telling us that, yes, they need to be addressed in mental problem, but if you address that the wrong way, you are a transphobe. Now, all of a sudden, they're talking about the mental problems have to be addressed. Well, when you say, look, I know you might think you're this, but you're not. This is impossible to be. Why don't you just be honest? Look, I know I'm a boy, but I don't like being a boy. I want to live as a girl. Well, you can't. You can pretend you're a girl. You can't be a girl. But these people, the way they deal with mental health, they say, yes, you can. Yes, you can. We don't even know the difference between boys and girls, men and women. Online. You just pick. You pick. It's up to you. What? You're telling this person they can't do that? You know what you are? You're transphobe. And I'm going, but you just said we have to address mental health. Like being delusional is a part of that. But now I'm a transphobe when it's convenient.
But this is the only country where shootings like this one happen this often. The United States not only has the highest rate of gun violence of any...
Wait a minute. I'm starting to detect the secondary motive. The first motive is get off the back of transgenders. Don't even question it. Let me set it up by letting you know you're evil if you think about it. All right. And then, now I'm going to go straight to this. Let's get those guns.
Country in the world, it's become a leading cause of death for young people and teenagers in this country. That should make everybody angry. Weaponizing the shooter's identity is meant to distract from what matters.
No, you trying to get us to focus on guns is meant to distract from what matters. That's what that is. You coming up with some fake behind crocodile tears to try to bust us up first before you go in for the kill. You see that, guys? She tried to tenderize us. There it is. Yeah, gonna soften us up with, the kids, and I can think about all my kids and stuff. But then let's get to the real point. That we got more guns in this country and the gun violence and stuff like that, and don't focus on the transgender, and then I want those guns. There it is. Why don't you just come out? When are Democrats going to be honest enough to come out and say, look, we don't like freedom of speech and we don't like folks with guns that can resist our tyranny because we're horrible people. We govern horribly. Our policies are tyrannical. We believe in communism for the most part. We're globalists. We'll shove whatever ideology down your throats, and we don't like hearing you say stuff about it. So we want to shut you guys up when it comes down to your freedom of speech. We want to use all of these platforms and stuff to silence you. We'll use the military, we'll use the FBI, we'll use the CIA, all of that mess to shut y'all up under the guise of this is hate speech, this is misinformation, all of that stuff. We'll use all that mess on y'all. And when you don't like it and y'all get fed up, what you gonna do when we got all your guns? What you gonna do then, huh? That's what it's really about. But they can't say that. So now they gotta send folks like this out.
That is what they are doing, trying to distract from what matters. Here's what matters.
What matters?
Today's shooter bought the rifle, handgun, and shotgun they used to do what they did today legally.
Then why are you on it? See, remember, this took place in Minnesota. The utopian society of Tampon Tim. Tough, strong gun laws. Stuff like that. How'd he get it? Huh? That's my
We
question.
live in a country with more guns than people, where there are not universal background checks, there are not bans on assault weapons, and it is far too easy to buy a gun. It's the guns, everyone. It's not really a secret.
Wow. That right there makes me want to go ahead and find about 1,000 elephants to crap all over Jen Psaki. It's the guns, everybody. There's no secret. No secret. Nothing behind those guns. You know, you can't give me, you know, some evidence of how these guns are able to do this without the people. This is how they excuse all this type of stupidity. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, it's not the people's choices. Always making excuses for violence, things like that, by pivoting and suggesting, don't look at people and their behaviors. Don't look at their radicalization. Don't look at their ideology. Don't do that. Just look at something that really, without the people, wouldn't hurt nobody. Without the people, nobody would get shot. But look, it's the guns, everybody. There's no secret.
There are a lot of things to feel outraged about right now, and I really try.
It's either like you have to be honest and say what will actually work, which is what.
Y'all ready for this? And now somebody leaked it out on that same network, MSNBC. Miss Now. Okay, Miss Now put somebody on there that had the nerve say, "There's no secret." Y'all ready for this? If you ever wondered what they want, here it is.
Nobody wants to hear, which is that there are just simply way too many firearms and they're way too accessible, and even if they are
too powerful,
and they're too powerful, even handguns too. Again, that's
Y'all
why
hear
in
that?
Australia.
Way too many guns, way too accessible, way too powerful, all of that stuff. So once again, the solution to that is what? Okay, we have an overwhelming amount of people in America who own guns and are law-abiding citizens than criminals. That puts the criminals at a disadvantage, okay? But you know what else it does? It also balances it out when it comes down to all of these guns versus a tyrannical government. Kind of balances it out. Makes it a little harder if you were a party interested in domination, control, globalism, Marxism, communism, suppression, censorship. Makes it a little hard for you to get your will across when you want to shove vaccines down folks' throats, force them in the house, put masks on them. Makes it a little hard. See? But don't get out there and talk about the guns and all of this stuff. It ain't that.
It doesn't matter if it's not politically acceptable to say it. I'm not here as a politician or.
No, I'm here as a propagandist. I'm here to deliver the message so I can go ahead and absolve you guys of saying it. I'm not really connected with MSNBC. They just brought me on to say what they all think and want.
Or anyone who works in politics. I'm a journalist. Whether or not you like it, the only thing that really works, if you really wanted to bring down gun violence, was to do what Australia did and to do what many other countries in Europe do.
Wow. To do what Australia did. This guy right here is suggesting that the government forces us to have a gun buyback. And I'm thinking, well, wait a minute, how can you buy my guns back and you didn't buy them in the first place? Now, we all saw Australia get bullied during the outbreak. All of those folks, wait, what are you saying? I can't come outside? Nope, get in your house. Well, man, all I got is the sniffles. Well, we're going to put you in some type of camp over here. But I'm good. I'm just going to go in there. No, come with us. See, yeah, we have examples of what not to do. But you want us to go ahead and go the way of to Australia. Boy, I tell you, I bet you they are regretting that right now. Unreal. See this guy?
I realize I will get so much hate mail over this. People will tell me that I'm a communist and all these other things.
True.
So which also only reinforces the point, as I will definitely.
Now you see that? I'm a bubble wrap myself. All the criticism, all the hate mail that I'm gonna get, it only reinforces the fact that you guys are violent for getting mad at me for saying stupid stuff.
Some sort of like
blowback.
Not just blowback, but like threatening blowback, which is to say, like, these people like who are supposed to be so law-abiding are so quick to tell me that, like, you know, I ought to die or whatever else it is.
They didn't say they were going to take you out. They just said you ought to die. I'm just saying. I don't know the details. I didn't read the emails and stuff. I'm sure this is exaggerated. I'm sure that he's making himself a victim. He's bubble wrapping himself because he just said something radical, drastic, and stupid. And truthful. Because, see, we all know that that's how they all feel. So now I got to go ahead and say, I know I'm going to get a lot of hate, but don't hate me, because then when you hate me, then I'm going to say it's because of that. That's why we need to get the guns.
Watch out.
Right. Kash Patel, the director of the FBI, tweeting today, the FBI is investigating this shooting as an act of domestic terrorism and a hate crime targeting Catholics. The shooter has been identified as Robin Westman, a man born as Robert Westman.
What? We got us an outlet that's keeping it real. Boy, I tell you, I'm not going to be able to finish this one today, y'all. I'm passionate about this one, but let's go ahead and find out about Robin.
The FBI will continue to provide updates on our ongoing investigation with the public as we are able to, meaning that according to the director of the FBI, the shooter was transgender. A trans shooter in a state where Democrats have made it perfectly clear that they support the insanity that this has become, what we now call the trans community in this country.
Wow. Thank you. Tell the truth and shame the devil. That's why they're interested in covering this up. They're the ones that encourages this insanity. Now, they're the ones that encourage these delusions. And see, you got to understand, they get them while they're young. And that's the problem. If you are a grown behind man and you hit your 20s, 30s or whatever, you decide, I think I'm a woman. You try your best to live it out, do whatever you want to do, even though it's impossible. Go on, do whatever you want. But when you start indoctrinating folks at this man's age, see, remember, they started telling him this when he was younger. I didn't turn my dang on notifications off. I got my new phone back. Now, let me see something here. Go down. Give me a second, y'all. Notifications off. There we go. Yep. That's what I want. Now, let's get back to this. He just said something that we all been thinking. That you guys encourages these type of delusional things. That's why you don't want us to focus on his identity.
Minneapolis will continue to be a safe haven for undocumented immigrants.
And there you go. 2 categories. Undocumented immigrants. So what happens when they kill somebody? When they act a fool? When they break the law? Y'all cover for them too.
For our trans community,
Minnesota ranks the highest per capita.
What is a safe place for the trans community? That means you guys go over the top to encourage these delusions. Y'all just don't let things play out. You don't let society operate, organically. Y'all got to get your hands into it. See, that's the problem. When you say a safe place for our trans community, that means you're trying to tell them that there are people out there out to get them. Yeah, people who simply don't believe what you believe, people who are saying leave the kids alone, they hate you. They're trying to get you. They're out for you. They're trying to unexist you. So we're going to create a safe space. What that means is we're going to continue to encourage your delusion and demonize anybody who keeps it real and says you can't be that. I know you want to, but that's impossible. You have to accept what you are. If you can't accept that, then life becomes distorted. Reality becomes distorted. No telling how bad your brain and common sense can fracture when you can't comprehend the basics of male and female. If you can't do that, reality is warped. When I hear Democrats get out there, you can't really out there, we don't know what a woman is. I'm going, that means you can't operate in reality. If you can't get that right, we should put you somewhere in a straitjacket. But yet, you're out there making policies in your city and state. Unreal.
For being a safe haven for transgender individuals in Minnesota.
See?
Sue them for gender affirming care.
Oh.
Yes, we are not going to.
Oh, you mean mutilation? The gender affirming care? See how they package it up, soften it up? These are the folks doing it for gender affirming care. What that means, you bring your 12-year-old in there. I think I'm a girl. Obviously a boy. But you're in such a woke state like this joint. Well, I thought, sure, let's explore that. I thought we could get you started on some. That's what that means. And when folks step in and says, that's child abuse. Y'all shouldn't be doing that. We'll sue you for gender affirming care.
To scapegoat our transgender community.
When our children tell us who they are.
There you go.
It is our job as grown-ups to listen and to believe them.
There you go. Dad, I'm the king of the mountain. I run this house. This is my house. I'm the dad. Well, you got me there, son. I got to encourage it because I'm here to listen and encourage you and believe what you say. All right then. Now go give me some ice cream. I'm on it. That's how that works. In any other area, you don't let the kids tell you who they are, what they're doing, But now all of a sudden, when it comes down to why are these Democrats are so demonic? They are absolutely demonic. There it is. Why in the world would you encourage a kid to be fractured mentally like that? Why would you do that as an adult and a politician? Yeah, your party that encourages this is demonic. Yeah, we're going to find out this young man was demonically influenced when he looked in, drew a picture of himself looking at the devil talking back to him. Might as well had a Democrat. Might as well went ahead and drew a picture of Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, this chick. There it is. Because they're telling you the same thing the devil is. You could do it. You could be everything. You could, and to forget what God said and why he made you and stuff. Forget that mess. Anybody who disagrees with you. Look at this guy. Look at Homer Simpson here. Signing legislation.
Love wins.
Surrounded by a lot of weirdo adults. That's what it is. Being signed by a weirdo guy. Celebrating. Now, look at this. I'm assuming this kid most likely is a victim of these Democrats and all their encouragement and their weirdness. I'm assuming that. And look at them out there celebrating it, encouraging it. Now, she looks about maybe 12. What happens when she's 18 and come to the conclusion that they've been deceiving me? Here I am trying to accomplish something that Tampon Tim signed into law and told me, you're good to go. This will solve your problem. And I realized that it's not solved. I'm still frustrated. I'm still mad. I'm still confused. I'm still upset because people, for some reason, ain't letting me live out my truth. See, that's where you get these things from, because you get people, adults that are supposed to be responsible, starting off at this age. Starting off at that age. Look at that.
Let's briefly discuss what happened.
We're almost done, guys. I'm trying to finish. I know we already at 2 hours. Boy, almost 2 hours. But I got some good information, some good insight. Matt Walz brings some data to this argument and is concerned that the Democrats most likely are trying to lead us away from, I'm going to let this play. Here we go.
Last summer in the affluent town of Braintree, Massachusetts, several girls between the ages of 9 and 17 were watching a film at the AMC movie theater. They were there to see the Ryan Reynolds movie that just came out called If. And that's when, according to police, a man named Jared Reviza ran into the theater and stabbed the girls. And in an interview, one of the girls later told investigators that he, quote, laughed at us. He sounded like the Joker and ran out. But Jared Reviza wasn't done. After that mass stabbing within an hour, he allegedly stabbed 2 employees at McDonald's.
Now, you see this guy? Looking like Kurt Cobain. Why is he sitting there? I'm sure we're not going to find out that this person also is fractured mentally.
For urinating in the drive-thru. A witness compared Jared's appearance to Jack Nicholson's character in The Shining. And eventually he was arrested, at which point authorities determined that he may have been responsible for an unrelated homicide as well. So this guy was, a real asset to the local community, to put it mildly. What's interesting about this case is that, remarkably enough, you can read a dozen news articles about Jared Ravizza, and you'll never once see anything mentioned about transgenderism.
Wonder
the
why.
Vineyard Gazette, which serves as the official magazine of Martha's Vineyard, wrote a deep dive into the case without once using the word transgender. So to give another example, here's a report from the local CBS news station.
Yeah, let's hear him. Let's hear him.
The man suspected in a series of terrifying attacks made...
What? You referred to him as a man? I'm sure he'd be upset about that. But nonetheless, they can't say a woman because we all know he's not a woman as soon as you looked at him. See, but you don't want us to take a peek up under the hood. So there it is. You're not going to say a trans woman. You're just going to keep it simple. Now all of a sudden he's a man.
In his first appearance in court today, Jared Ravizza is accused of a series of stabbings on Saturday at a movie theater in Braintree and at a McDonald's in Plymouth. WBZ's Louisa Moeller spoke with one of the victims.
We briefly saw Jared Ravizza in court with shoulder-length bleach blonde hair in a jumpsuit. What? The prosecutor asked for him to be held without bail, but the defense said he needs a competency evaluation, so he will stay here until he's seen by a doctor.
Yeah.
You can see him in the video here. The 26-year-old from Chilmark, Martha's Vineyard, is accused of stabbing 6 people Saturday. What? Prosecutors say he pulled up to the Plymouth rest stop, got out of his Porsche, publicly urinated, then stabbed a man at the McDonald's drive-thru. After that, he's accused of going inside and behind the McDonald's counter and stabbing another employee.
This man went on a stabbing spree? And a urinating spree? This is unbelievable. Now, I want to go ahead and say, I'm not saying all trans people are violent and out there doing all this crazy stuff like that, okay? But I am going to make a point. We do need to look into some correlations, okay? Because see, one thing I have seen is a whole bunch of angry, entitled trans people all over the internet. The way that they present what they believe, what they feel, doesn't make me think that they don't feel like I got the right to hurt people because you're trying to make me unexist. Doesn't make me think they're just out there minding their own business, want to live their own life. You get in one of their faces, you accidentally misgender one of them. They are angry, vicious. They will record you, try to ruin your life. All kind of stuff. I'm like, hey, you better pipe down. I seen you on the internet talking about, what do you think I am when you look at me? Look like an angry person who, if you could, you'll get physical. Because people are out there telling you you're the victim constantly. So now, let's just see the people who have snapped. Because see, sanity is a fine line. And if you blur the lines to where you can't decide, well, am I a woman or a man, even though I know that I got that, well, the door's open for anything.
Later, police say he slashed 4 girls at an AMC theater in Braintree. And just a short time ago, he was formally named as a suspect in a homicide in Deep River, Connecticut. Police there said he threw a shovel through a window of a home there. And when police arrived, they found the body of a 70-year-old man.
There's no curiosity about what motive this man might have to go on a stabbing spree in which he butchered children and killed someone. They don't explain why he looks the way he does. They don't talk about his social media posts where he's dressed like a woman.
Why not?
As I can tell, a grand total of one local news outlet, just one, reported that Jared Ravizza was, quote, a transgender person who identifies as a woman. Now, multiply this story by about 1,000, and you begin to get a sense for the massive blind spot that exists in this country concerning violence that's committed by the so-called transgender population.
What? So wait a minute, Matt. Did we just witness an open attempt to cover up a violent act by a transgender person throughout my whole live stream as we watch these Democrats and the fake news come out and try to run interference? Are you telling me this is an example that they unfortunately couldn't cover up? So let's see.
There's simply no good way to track it, and no one's even trying. The federal government doesn't maintain any kind of database that lists crimes by trans-identifying individuals. Media outlets are terrified of stigmatizing the quote-unquote trans community, and so for all practical purposes, we only ever hear about a violent crime committed by a trans-identifying individual if there's a mass casualty event in which many people are either murdered or seriously injured.
Like the one that just took place up there in Minnesota. No wonder all of these stinking folks came out like, all right, dog, we got to gather around. Here's the deal. Here's the plan. Bring me on your network and go ahead and open up the door for me to say, stop criticizing the trans community. It's all about love and stuff.
And yet, even with that caveat in mind, it's not hard to see that the trans population is quite prolific when it comes to antisocial and violent and often deadly behavior.
No, Matt, come on, man. Come on, man. You stereotyping, man. You're labeling. You're demonizing the whole community and stuff without no evidence or proof, right? That's what's happening. Thank you, by the way. That's what's happening, Matt. You know what? How about you show us some stuff? We need to know. We need to know.
In 2018, Snokia Mosley, a self-identified transgender individual, killed several people at a Rite Aid distribution facility in Maryland.
I didn't hear about that. Why didn't I hear about that?
Authorities said Mosley had, quote, been beset for years by mental illness as well as emotional turmoil related to her struggle with sexual identity. Her
struggle with sexual identity. See, it starts off small. You're fractured. Mentity. Yeah, right there. You're mentally confused. You're disturbed. You're dang on Jekyll and Hyde. You're sitting there struggling within because you're going, I think I'm this, but I'm really not, and I'm trying to be something that I can't be, and people are out there telling me I can't be, and then you know what? There's folks out there mysteriously just trying to unexist me because that's what the Democrats be saying and stuff like that. So yeah, I can see how one might just lose it. Let's continue.
Struggle. In 2019, a self-identified transgender boy named Alec McKinney masterminded a school shooting that left one student dead and several more injured. McKinney said that she wanted to kill her classmates because they didn't respect her gender identity.
Didn't respect her gender identity. Now, where have we heard this from? A whole bunch of politicians. That's where. There it is. Respect these kids who want to be. And then if a kid tells you who they are, hey, full-blown adults that are telling kids that they're victims and they're right, even though we know they're wrong. Yeah, there you go. Where have we heard this? Now, all of a sudden, you get folks to say, you know what, since y'all are kids that got common sense in my classroom, because remember, the guidance counselor and the teachers and my parents probably, and all these other people told me I'm this. However, my kids are going, like kids always, I think you're not a girl, you're a boy. Yeah, that. Now, all of a sudden, those kids are the enemies. Now, all of a sudden, you're not respecting my... And led to this, but we didn't hear about this? What do you mean?
In 2022, Anderson Lee Aldrich shot up a nightclub, killing 5 people and injuring 26.
What?
His lawyer said in court that he was non-binary, used they, them pronouns, preferred to be addressed as Mix, MX Aldrich.
What?
2023.
Why ain't all of this make the news and stuff?
40-year-old Kim Brady Carricker killed 5 people and injured 2 children when he opened fire in a Philadelphia neighborhood. Authorities denied that the man was transgender, even though he posted numerous photos online in which he's wearing women's clothing.
What? So were they treating all these cases like they do when the illegal immigrants were committing crimes? You know what? A Washington man that shot 2 people. What about that? What? No more details about the Washington man that shouldn't be in Washington because he's from another country illegally? That you don't want to say that? It's just a Washington man? So now, look at all these cases that we've overlooked because they wouldn't show us and tell us.
Same year, as we all remember, a trans-identifying mass shooter killed 3 9-year-old children and 3 adults at Covenant Christian School.
I do remember that.
And then in 2024, a man named Colin Bailey, who pretends to be a woman and who uses the name Mia, admitted to killing his parents and showed no remorse for that whatsoever. All of these stories made the news to varying degrees because they were too high profile, too dramatic, too horrifying to ignore. The media can successfully bury a story about a few girls getting stabbed in a movie theater, but it's harder to explain away a large number of fatalities. And this is why, when you're looking at crime rates generally, as we've talked about before, it's best to look at homicides rather than, say, car thefts or assaults.
Well, then show us, Matt. Yeah, we don't want to be accused of demonizing the whole community and stuff like that, which I'm not. I'm not saying, once again, I have to reiterate, for I get the hate mail, I'm not saying all trans people who think they're trans are going to do something like this. I'm not saying that. But we're about to find out that there is a decent sized proportion of folks who believe these things that at some point get mad enough to express whatever anger they got on the inside through these methods.
Because they can monkey with the stats when it comes to car theft, assault, that sort of thing, pretend that those numbers are going down when they really aren't.
Yeah.
It's more difficult for authorities to hide bodies. than to hide evidence of other crimes. And that's why this graph, which was posted yesterday by one of the big data accounts on X, is worth taking a look at. As you can see, it shows mass shooting rates by demographic from 2015 to 2025. It looks at public incidents with 4 or more fatalities, and it accounts for the percentage of the population that belongs to each demographic group. So
wait a minute, Matt. Where are straight, cis, white men on this map? I mean, I'm pretty sure since Don Lemon said the greatest threat to this country is the white men. I'm pretty sure since they swear up and down that conservatives are the worst, they're domestic terrorists and all this. I'm pretty sure we're on the top of the list, right?
It's a per capita reading, essentially. Now, at the very top of that list, as you'll see, you find men who identify as transgender women or non-binary. They're followed by women who identify as men or non-binary. After that, there's Asian men, includes Arabs, black men, white men, Asian women, and Hispanic men rounding out the list.
Why didn't we know this? Why aren't these charts out there? Well, it's because this is not something that the Democrats and the left, the radical left, who've embraced and encouraged and demonized anybody who disagreed with this, swarping down. We're out there tracking down these folks, trying to hurt them, trying to harm them, and we're not. We're minding our own business, with the exception of kids. Okay? But they've been out there telling everybody, you got to come to our state because we're a sanctuary because people are out there to get you.
In other words, when you look at per capita statistics, transgender identifying individuals are the single most likely demographic group in the entire country to commit deadly mass shootings that cause 4 or more fatalities. Now, you can quibble with the numbers if you want, but this is a finding that, if we're being honest, everyone can intuitively understand. It's not surprising.
Why, Matt? Tell me why this is easy to understand. Let's find out all the ingredients that need to come together to make someone snap and do something like this. Yeah, give me the ingredients.
After all, it's not exactly a great shock that men with delusions who are given unnatural cross-sex hormones.
Bam! Men with delusions, or women, given cross-sex hormones. Okay, all right, we got 2 ingredients to bring out crazy. Give me something else.
Other life-altering drugs and mind-altering drugs instead of treatment for their delusional mindset.
Bam! Lack of treatment for their delusion. Any other delusion, you get psychological help. Sitting back talking about, I think I'll never amount to anything. Oh, yes, you will. Any type of schizophrenia, all that stuff, they want to help you. But for some reason, this one right here, that is basic biology, now all of a sudden, instead of treating it like it's a delusion, schizophrenic, or anything, they just come out and say, you're good. The only area where they all say, you're good, go out and live your best life. Now, you walk out thinking you're healed. Yeah, this right here would be equivalent to me coming in and say, Doc, right now, man, I feel like something's growing in my belly. I think I got some type of, something growing on my gallbladder. Look at this. This is a growth. You're good. It's a muscle. It's an ab. It's an ab. I don't think abs look like this. No, that's definitely an ab. Really? So this is an ab. Okay. Well, good. And I walk out the doctor's office, about to die, because I'm growing a tumor that he just diagnosed as an ab. There you go. So now, why are these doctors doing that? We got doctors, we got politicians, and we got all of the folks in the media on the left encouraging and celebrating these delusions.
Will be prone to violence. Affirmation does not help at all. As the ACLU's own attorney admitted to the Supreme Court this year, there's no evidence that coddling these people somehow reduces suicide rates. On the other hand, there's a lot of evidence that when you affirm somebody's deranged fantasies, you empower psychopaths to act on those same fantasies.
Thank you, Matt. I've been saying that too. Did y'all see that? Yeah. When you encourage this mess, what do? Set them up for failure. So look at all these nice combinations, these ingredients that's mixed in there. Yeah, you got grown behind adults encouraging folks that instead of recognizing this is a fantasy that can't be achieved. Nope, you're good. Coming from mom, dad, folks you're supposed to trust, folks that's supposed to be looking out for you and keeping it real, folks that's supposed to be protecting your mental fragility. But instead, what do? I'm going to listen to you instead of common sense.
And more to the point, when you tell someone that their fantasy is true and that it's an inextricable part of their identity, and that anyone who denies their fantasy is therefore a threat to them, is guilty of even a trans genocide, and so on, you are giving them all the excuse they need to go and commit violence against the people who pose this quote-unquote threat.
Bam! That's the wick. There it is. That's what ignites the bomb. Out there, you know what? You got all these elements to come together. And then, to top it off, you turn on your TV and you see Democrats out there, the attack on the trans community and these kids, and we're going to sign this legislation. Now, if affirming all of these delusions work, then this person who did this couldn't have been in a more affirming place. You're out there in Minnesota where you got Tampon Tim who's sticking tampons in the boys' bathroom, and they're all signing legislation, celebrating you. It's supposed to be a sanctuary. It's supposed to be a safe space for the transgender community. So all this affirmation out there couldn't keep this person mentally stable. We're about to find out how they really felt about their transitioning and stuff like that.
That's exactly what took place yesterday at Annunciation Catholic School. The shooter, who killed 2 children ages 8 and 10 and injured more than a dozen others, was not tormented by his parents because of his alleged gender identity. There was no lack of affirmation going on. In fact, he wasn't told the truth, which is that he's a man. Instead, he was affirmed every step of the way.
Affirmed? By who, Matt? He wasn't told the truth? Who affirmed him?
His family members pretended that he was a woman. His mother signed off on his name change in court when he was a minor for the explicit purpose of helping him identify.
When he was a minor. Now you're seeing the facts, all this stuff that contributed to this. Yeah, you wonder why the kid was confused? You wonder why he grew up and decided, this is what I got to do to society that has rejected me. No. This starts at your crib. These parents out there that want to be super duper woke. Oh, that Nat trying to get back at me. I tried to spray him and then he gonna go ahead and kamikaze right into my cheek. See that? I think I heard him say, bonsai. I'm waiting till as soon as this is over, and I want to break the continuity. As soon as this is over, I'm going to track him down. Matter of fact, you dirty gnat, instead of dirty rat, you dirty gnat. All right, let's get out of here. We got to hurry up. So now, instead of having a responsible adult that says, son, let's deal with these thoughts you have. Okay, we're going to get you some help. We got to get you to a place where you accept what you really are. Nope, mom goes and get his name changed and all of this. Let's see how all of that worked out. Let's see if it worked.
Identify as a woman. That took place in 2019.
From the manifesto and writings of the actual shooter, you can see the pigtails and the firearm and a mirror and a demon looking back at the shooter.
The shooter drew this picture. Now, like I said earlier, might as well had a Democrat looking back at you. Might as well had put Tim Walz in that picture. Draw Homer Simpson head right there in that picture. Might as well have drawn that lady who was talking about when your kid looks at you and tells you, might as well put them in.
This is in Russian, but the translation of the Russian writing is, when will this end? Help me. I don't want to. Help. Kill yourself, kill. Well, I mean, it's like literally a textbook demonic possession experience and something that the shooter is explaining in his own hand.
Now, that goes to show that this person has accepted the demons. You know, when you got demonic influence, fight it. Don't just succumb to it and say, you know what, whatever you want me to do. Whatever you want. I mean, even if you got to get back up and say, you know what, I did it, but that's not the best, Kev. That's not, it ain't right. It ain't right. Keep telling yourself. Don't get to the point where you just break and say, go ahead, have free reign in me. So this person right there is at that point where they're like, yep, pretty much I'm being dominated by evil. And then, of course, look what else he says.
Along with this revelation, I'm tired of being trans.
I'm tired of being what? Now look at that. Remember, these people never regret their decisions. They're never upset. This right here helps them live it and it makes sure they never do nothing crazy because we're telling them that you're good. We'll protect you. What you believe is true. This person says, I'm tired of being trans.
I wish I was never brainwashed.
I wish I was never what? Brainwashed. See, now do you know how many folks wake up when they 20 something and they go, Mom, I was 12 when you had me go through all of this. Dad, how could y'all encourage us? How could you let me? Now I'm grown and I'm going, I don't want to be this, but I can't reverse it. Thanks, Mom. Thanks, Dad. Thanks, Democrats. Thanks, politicians. Thanks, doctors. Stupid people in society.
What? Let's read the article. Minneapolis school shooter Robin Westman confessed that he was tired of being trans. I wish I'd never brainwashed myself.
Wow. Now, you think they want that out there? You think they want anybody thinking that that played a part in this person's fracture, this person's frustration? Yeah, brainwash myself. They want us to think that every time somebody make this decision, they're happy with it. They never regret it. Nobody ever says, you know what? I've been deceived. I lied to myself. Everybody's loving it. They love it. Now you got this person who obviously broke is telling everybody in this manifesto that I lied to myself. I believe this and it's irreversible.
Whoa. Transgender mass shooter Robin Westman confessed that he was tired of being trans and wish he'd never brainwashed himself in a manifesto posted online after he slaughtered 2 children and wounded dozens more at a Minneapolis church. The twisted handwritten journal shared on YouTube before the massacre, much was encrypted and homespun code of Russian, Cyrillic, scriptic, and English words. Westman groaned about his long hair and his decision to transition. I only keep the long hair because it's pretty much my last shred of being trans. I am tired of being trans. I wish I'd never brainwashed myself, he wrote. There's the photo, the pigtails, and so on. I can't cut my hair now because it would be embarrassing defeat.
I can't cut my hair now because everybody been telling me for all these years, you're good. Live out your life. Don't sell out the trans community by saying, hey, I made a mistake. This was stupid. I mean, how will my mom and them see me? They went and they supported me. They spent money. They took me to the doctors. Yeah, Tampon Tim, he signed legislation protecting the trans community. I then went ahead, bought into this lie, probably being cheered on by everybody. You're brave, good job. And on the inside, I'm going, I'm miserable. I mean, I'm living a lie. I'm trying to be something I'll never be. Whatever. I can't go back now. I can't go back. My whole identity revolves around this. I had grown-ups and responsible people celebrating me and encouraging me. How would it look if I tell them, no more clapping, this is a mistake, I want to go back? How would that look? So I'm going to take another route. There it is. I'm so frustrated, so angry at everything, I'm about to do something horrific.
And it might be concerning change of character that could get me reported. It always gets in the way. I probably will chop it off the day of the attack. Goodness. Westman 23 wrote that he regretted being trans and wished that he were just wished that he were a girl. I regret being trans. I wish I was a girl. Okay.
There you go. See, that's the point, that when you get confronted with reality and it's too heavy to handle, forget something that don't even exist, because this whole thing of trans is not real. There's no such thing as a transgender. No such thing. He had to get confronted with reality that this whole thing in the middle we tried to create, this third like gender we done created, this third sex, it doesn't exist. And now I'm trying to become something that there's no way I could be. I'm frustrated because this whole lie of being trans is frustrating me. Every time I try to go ahead and embrace it, I get hit with the reality when I look at a real girl. When I look at a real girl, I go, man, I'm living the lie. I'm a pretend girl. That's what I am. And I'm thinking me growing out little ponytails and stuff makes me a woman and a girl, but nope. No, yeah, I'm sitting here trying to pretend and mimic what they do, talk how they talk. I'm using drugs to go ahead and try to convince myself that I'm one of them, but there's nothing I can do. Now imagine that type of frustration where you done bought into that and you got everybody encouraging you, and every single day you have to get up and be confronted with reality. That even though I'm looking at real girls with envy, I want to be one of them, I'll never become one. Nothing I can do. So I'm going to take the sorry way out instead of just saying, I'm going to change. I'm going to come out, make the confession to everybody that this was stupid. I want to live and become what God told me I am. And hopefully I can recover from all of this mess Instead of doing that, you break. You break. And they want us to think all of these elements did not contribute to this person doing that. All you got to do is read what he was saying. Frustrated. Didn't want to be this. Lied to myself. Can never be what I'm not.
I cannot achieve that body technology we have today. Okay.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. But they don't want us to know all of that. They don't want us to put together this story with all of this evidence to say, well, you know what? I'm not saying every transgender person is out there doing this, but in this case and many others, you might conclude that if you start off fractured mentally and encouraged as a youth that you are something that you're not, it opens the door for all kind of other mental disabilities and all of that. I mean, you know, you get that. That's why when I look at the Democrats and them trying to convince people to believe things that we know are untrue, that's the last, frontier of common sense and reality. You can control a person when you get them to believe what they know to be right, wrong rather. Yeah, when you can do that, when you can fracture a society to make them believe something that you're going, okay, why, I thought I knew what a man was and a woman, but with all this new updated information and all these Democrats demonizing me, and then them saying, well, you know what, there's always been transgenders and stuff, like maybe there is. You get people to that point, those people are done. There it is. That's why they hated folks who they couldn't control with this narrative. That is a social experiment for you. If you really want to break a society, let's tell them to believe one of the most basic, fundamental truths and call those things a lie. Let's crack them. Let's break them. If they can believe this, they can believe anything. And that's what opens up the door for you to go crazy and end up doing something crazy. When you have started with the basic reality, biology, you're going, man, I'm fractured here. Anything else is free game. If I can't get this right, yeah, my mind is open to believe anything. So that's why this whole transgender movement, is demonic, it's evil, it's designed to make us believe a lie, a simple lie, an obvious lie, to where if you go, you believe that, you believe anything. And people do. You got Democrats out there testing it, telling everybody this, and they're going, if they believe this, they believe anything. Now we can tell them, you know what, the illegal immigrants built this country, and they add to us, and you know what, the Trump's a white supremacist, and Trump's a xenophobe, you know what, he's Hitler. They'll believe anything. See, so God bless y'all, God bless America. I know this one went super duper long. I think the longest one I've ever done was maybe 2.5 hours. Boy, I'm gonna wear that gnat out. I'm gonna wear him out, man, when I get done. But yeah, but I had to get this one, out of my system. Now, speaking of getting it out of my system, Nala's starting to grow her hair back. There it is. Right now, you look at the big eyes, looking like a little whippet. Wanna see me whip it? Wanna see me right? And she hasn't boo-booed in the house in 3 days. You're making progress. Only dog I ever had that can't get right when it comes down to pooping in the house. But she's making progress. Come here, Kiss. Your turn. Come here, Gizmo. Yeah. Here's the guy where it all started. Yeah, it all started with Gizmo. Got your own merch and everything. Oh, yeah. You like that? You like that? Gotta pet him so he can feel it. See, so he can feel it. There you go. Oh, yeah. All right. So thanks for hanging out with me for a long time today. Make sure you share my videos. All right, enough of that. Stop with the squeakers until I'm done. No squeaking until I'm done. Nala. Anyway, but yeah, make sure you share my videos. Suggest them to other people. I'm sure these clips from this one will probably be cut up and put on my alternative channel. So Nala, put the ball down. Yeah. So you're going to have to go ahead and check out and subscribe to the other channel and watch some of those videos because we need more watch time over there so we can monetize that channel. So please do that. And thanks for those who gave in the super chat. And anybody who would like to support me through my Cash App or my PayPal link, you can do that as well. The links are below. Follow me on all the other social media platforms and text MAGA to this number if you want to stay connected just in case. All right. Now, God bless y'all. God bless America. Let's get out of here. I'm tired now. Whew. I done put a lot of energy into that one. So, like she's putting into that ball, she's going to get it. Cut that ball out. Stop it. Don't look that way. I know you see the goals. I know you see the eights. I know you see the way we tear up the place, man. God bless. Take care.